Hi, my name is Ronelle King, and I'm Director of Life in Leggings, Caribbean Alliance Against Gender-Based Violence. And what we do is we work to eradicate gender-based violence across the Caribbean through advocacy, education, community outreach, and empowerment initiatives. Well, the organization was founded out of my own personal experiences as a survivor of gender-based violence. And what we sought to do was to create a platform that was applicable across the Caribbean, that related to women's experiences, that was judgment-free, and that would empower them to be able to speak out about the types of gender-based violence that they experience and receive support as well. There was massive support, but as these things tend to go, there was also massive backlash. So almost instantly when the hashtag was posted, we received a lot of support from Barbadian women, but also from across the Caribbean. But because it started in Barbados, a lot of Barbadian women were, using their own experiences to talk about sexual harassment and these particular forms of gender-based violence that are ordinarily not talked about in the public sphere. And because these conversations tend to be between ourselves, because we can most relate to them, and because also when you tend to speak about these experiences in a society like ours where there's a thriving and pervasive rape culture, you get backlash. You may get backlash from individuals such as men who don't experience sexual harassment to the levels that women do. And so when all these women on this hashtag, the sheer numbers of women talking about how they experience sexual harassment or forms of gender-based violence and the impact that it had on them, because these men or these individuals could not relate to it, they responded with some intense backlash. Doubting the women's experiences, claiming that they were lying or they were exaggerating their claims. So what we're currently doing, we offer victim advocacy support and referral services to individuals who are experiencing gender-based violence and they're not necessarily sure how to get out of that particular situation. But we also do support empowerment initiatives. So one of our empowerment initiatives is Pink Parliament. And so Pink Parliament's focus is about increasing women's participation in politics, recognizing that to be able to advance legislation and policy, you have to have a particular consciousness going into this type of work. So the expectation is that women are going to advance these issues because we're predominantly affected by them. But not all women have that level of consciousness or care about these types of issues because we live in a patriarchal society and women are socialized under it as well. So you have to create an environment in which you develop the consciousness within women and girls to be able to advance that advocacy through the legislative and decision-making processes. And so that's what we're doing at Pink Parliament, equipping girls with the tools, the mentorship, and the knowledge around these issues, about the issues that impact them and the issues pertaining to gender-based violence, so that they could go forth in their advocacy and address them, so that these issues won't take 20 to 25 years just to be addressed, because they're not a priority in these spaces. One of the emerging concerns that I see as it relates to youth pertaining to gender-based violence is it's an increase in online violence such as revenge porn, cyberbullying in the forms of slut-shaming, and victim blaming. But what I'm also seeing is a desensitization of violence and the implications that can arise out of that as it pertains to gender-based violence. So an example that I could think of is how in a relationship it may seem quite harmless for someone to say, especially for women who safety is a major concern for us, and we're socialized to and encouraged to send our location to friends and family to ensure that we're safe when we're leaving home and going into public spaces. And in a relationship, that can be utilized it could start off very harmless, send me your location, I'm just concerned about who you're out with. And then it starts to become more of a demand. I want to know who you're out with. Send me your location because I don't trust you're out with whom you said you're out with. And for someone who's in that relationship, it can be difficult for them to see the transition from concern to possessiveness and obsessiveness, and the demand to know who they're out with and where they are, to check in on them, to satisfy that curiosity. Healthy ways to address infidelity in a relationship is to speak with your partner, confront your partner, speak to them about your concerns, what patterns of behavior that might have made you suspicious, and seek to resolve it. Let them know how you feel, as opposed to going through their phone, invading their privacy, stalking them, and other forms of unhealthy behaviors that social media or media can portray, as ways to address that issue.